All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Supersub Podcast. We are so happy to have you once again. This is Thursday, February 24th. The cast is assembled. We're very happy to have you here. Brian, Chris, and I are excited to talk about soccer. But before we do that, about football, before we do that, I just want to make a quick announcement. Please follow us. Please smash that like button. Please smash that subscribe button. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're just slicing and dicing clips left and right. Make sure you find us on all of those. We'd love your support. We'd really appreciate it. So that's my little PSA out of the way for today. Make sure to find us the Supersub Pod. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Still joined by Messi behind me. Chris still joined by Mbappe. We've got a new guest though, Christian Pulisic, Captain America, taking over for Mario Balotelli. We'll get to
Mario's on the bench in Turkey right now, but Christian has been called up to the super sub role for this week's episode. What a huge G.
Yeah, he is a huge G. We'll talk about that game and his excellent goal. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good. How can you not do good when that man is dribbling the whole defense of Real Madrid?
I've been listening to the Kylian Mbappe song for like the last 3 weeks on repeat. It's on TikTok's algorithm and it's nailed me. I've listened to it all the time.
Yeah, it's great, and we'll do some TikTok around it. So stay tuned on our socials. We'll try new things and cool things with the world of football. I guess good news and bad news for the US men's national team. Mostly tilting towards the bad news. We'll talk about that with the Mckennie and Jorena of the world, unfortunately, even though Pulisic is getting back on the positive side with that new badge of World Champions League, World Cup winner. I don't know how you say it. I don't know who won that trophy, his carton board trophy, but it looks like it's on their jersey. So it was good, even though against a very, very weak Lille side, but we'll talk about this further in the show.
But before we get to that, what is this Kylian Mbappe song?
Oh, you never heard it? It's the French one.
Is it the one from the World Cup?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've heard that.
Mbappe. I can't do it right. I won't do that again.
Either. I'm not good. So I'm not
I
gonna.
won't do that again. America, I won't do that again.
You might need to do the whole song with that.
So
I've heard that song. French. Yeah, the rest is in French. I'll let Chris take it.
It's basically about step over and his speed. So, and that's the thing, because at the time his step overs was not really good. Now they are pretty good, and he hasn't lost his speed. I mean, he's still like it's pretty young, but yeah. And it's a remix of that song, which actually I prefer the original one. Usually I do really like remixes, but
Brian's a remix guy.
If it's on No Ceilings.
If it's on that Piff, we're in.
So I'll do a TikTok, so you'll discover that song. So you'll see what we're talking about.
Nice. No, I've heard that whole song when they're walking around the Stade de France, celebrating with the trophy.
No, wow, you remember that's something that's very dear in the French arts too. I remember very well with Umtiti, Casser la démarche. And after that, he didn't just casser la démarche, he cassé his knee, so which stands for break his knee. I think sorry, we're totally like going on a tangent here, but Umtiti
about France of all countries is crazy.
I can't believe that.
It's crazy. Umtiti, like, I'm very sad because he was a really, really good defender, and the pair with Varane, it was like perfect. But he decided he wanted to win a World Cup and sacrificed his club career, but didn't sacrifice his wallet. So good for him.
Kind of sacrificed the rest of his career. I mean, he hasn't retired yet, but it feels like we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it feels like a bit like Ramos. Like I don't know if you guys follow very carefully. I was like, okay, because Kipembe, he's been playing very well in Champions League games, but he's also been going down because he had to play all those games and he never gets rest. He plays when he's injured. And so like we need Ramos to step up our level in defense as Paris Saint-Germain. And typically if Real Madrid doesn't want to resign you, or they want to lower your pay, there is a reason. And before the last season at Real Madrid, he played like 5 games and he got injured for like 6 months. And he injured his calves. And apparently at that age, and when you injured it so many times before, there is not this fiber that's in the muscle that regenerates as well. And so now every time he gets like a calf injury, he's out for like 6 weeks. So he plays 90 minutes and he's out 6 weeks. I'm not even joking. I don't think he might have done just 2 games in a row.
That's kind of how I feel these days.
At least he's old. At least he's old though. He's like 36 or whatever. Colburn, you're not even 30.
I know you know what, Chris? It's funny you say that. My calves are really hurting me. Been training for that marathon. I feel like Ramos out there, same level of skill, just out there, not recovering like I used to.
Wow, you're training for the marathon of LA?
Yeah, March 20th.
Whoa. Oh, it's later. Usually it's in February. So that's good. You get more weeks.
Yes. It's right before my B-day. So it'll be a nice present or a gift of coal in the stocking, as they say. So we'll see how that goes. But
Colburn's marathon watch. Yeah, let's make this a weekly topic.
Yeah.
How many miles did you run this week?
16.
16.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
16. I ran 4.
Yeah. It's what
total.
As any runner that I am, or any athlete like I am, will tell you, it's just a number at a certain point. You're just running miles, is no problem. How many do you need? 16, 18, 26.2. I even lost count. So many miles that I'm running so well. It's just tough,
That's
tough
incredible. So are you just going to be running marathons like for the rest of your life or what? Must love.
No, I'm going to,
so much.
They're actually going to wheel the podium out with the microphone right when I cross the finish line, and I'm going to announce my retirement. I will say thank you everyone for playing, but I've accomplished my bucket list item, and that's it. I'm out.
Awesome. Yeah.
All
I don't think I'll ever run a marathon. I'm more of like a 5-mile guys, and that's it.
Running isn't fun. I haven't found the part where people are like, oh, you're going to get hooked, because that hasn't happened for me yet. So anyway, so speaking of marathons, quick transition. How about this? Tottenham Man City. Boy, was this a back and forth game. This felt like a huge matchup for both teams, more for Tottenham than for City. But gentlemen, I thought this was the announcers at the time were going crazy. I thought this is one of the best Premier League games I've watched this season. It was excellent.
Yeah, it was great. I always joke about this is why the Premier League is the best league in the world, as they like to say, but they deliver moments like this that it's kind of hard to top. And this was another just really fun game to watch. Awesome for the neutrals. It's reopened the title race up a bit as Liverpool's continuing to win on the other side. And it's just nice to, I typically really enjoy teams that keep a lot of the ball, but I've never quite gotten behind the Man City style of possession. And so it's nice to see them knocked off by Tottenham. Really nice performance from Harry Kane. Could have had 3 goals. Couple really, really nice finishes, high quality stuff. And just a master class from the Italian Antonio Conte. It's kind of tough. They have to, when you're not a team at the, even close to Man City's level, you almost are forced to park the bus with the way that they play. And Tottenham sure did that. I mean, they probably had 7-8 guys behind the ball for almost the whole game. But it worked. They were devastating on the counterattack, and really nicely rewarded with getting that stoppage time winner after they conceded the late penalty to Riyad Mahrez, one of the better penalties I've seen in a while.
It was sick.
It's kind of crazy that pros can't just do that every time. You'd think they could just rifle them top shelf, but I thought it was super fun game, and like I said, title race is kind of back on. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, that's a pretty good analysis. I think for me, I'll be cherry picking here. and it's difficult to tell. Like Pep, you made a big mistake, and we told you that all the time. Like, look at you decided to put Gundogan in midfield. Oh yeah, Gundogan is a terrible player. So, but and also you left Mahrez on the bench, and look at what he did besides the penalty, and it was like a Conte style of like parking the bus and counter-attacking fast, and you kind of needed Mahrez to unlock that defense. So I think those were the mistakes he made, and it's very easy for me to tell him he made mistakes where the guy is reinventing the game and he's reinventing the way his team play every year. It's not like he has one style of play and like he plays possession. He always makes incremental adjustments where like he's like, okay, there was a season where they scored so many goals, but defensively they sucked. I mean, granted, they've bought for almost $1 billion of defenders. So that helps when you get the cash.
Well, they've got the cash.
And they're like,
splashing the cash.
I know, Emric Lapuerta. Or Enrico Lapuerta, because he's not Emric Laporte anymore since he plays for Spain. He's not fast enough, so I need to.
Not better.
No
comments here.
And then after he readjusted, and then he invents the fullback, the attacking fullback that plays in the center half space. Sorry, the left or right half space, and the winger that actually gets closer to the touchline. Invention. Then after everyone else copies, the goalkeeper that plays in the back two that makes the back three, and then that's basically creates outnumber, and that's how you defeat a pressing. So there is so many, I can't even name all of them, and I would not even do it justice. So just to say that, like, it would be easy for me to tell him, like, dude, you made the wrong choice. Like, it was obvious, just like the mistake he made at the final with Gundogan again. I think it was just a master plan from Antonio Conte. He knew he had this game marked on his calendar, as we say in French. And I think he's like it's the second time in 2 seasons that he beats Pep Guardiola twice. He did it with Chelsea, and I did it with Tottenham, which is actually a bigger achievement, granted their squad. So for me also, I think it's the rejuvenation of Harry Kane. He hadn't been at his level a little bit 9.5, 10, a la Karim the Dream. Where like he was.
That didn't take long on this week's episode.
Ding, ding, ding.
I wasn't sure when I was gonna be able to bring it today, and thankfully I found an opening.
First topic.
I was sure.
I wasn't sure I could do it today, but I did it. Thank you, Harry, Prince Harry. And it's just like, like the control of the ball, getting the defender in his back, launching Son, and they executed the plan to the perfection. Like they didn't lose those balls. They had 3 breaks. Those 3 breaks they scored. Even Kulusevski like making the perfect cross. Like
that cross is great.
Perfect cross, lobbing Emric Lapuerta or Ruben Diaz. And
I can't take that seriously.
I didn't even do it on purpose the second time. And also I'll finish up with Hugo Lloris, kind of
Brian's
Butterfingers. I don't wanna say Mike Maignan should be the goalkeeper for France. I don't.
I can say that. Yeah,
I'll say
it.
But I'm gonna leave it with that. Hugo Lloris, he hasn't been at his best for a while. So hopefully he gather himself for the World Cup.
Here's a dumb question: is his last name Spanish?
No, it's Laporte.
No. Lloris.
Lloris, no, that's Italian.
Really?
Yes, apparently.
So it'd be Lloris.
I think so. Let me double check, but I think it's Italian. It's from Nice, which is close to Italy, and that used to be. I don't know if it occupies the good word to say in this day and age, but it used to be possession of Italy for a while.
Huh.
Yeah, the Kingdom of Savoia.
Lloris.
Wow.
Yeah,
learning a
my
lot of
grandmother.
mistakes.
My grandmother used to be. Or her family came from one side of her family came from Nice.
I just assumed it was Spanish because you pronounce it like a Y, which it wouldn't be like that in French. But I digress. Away from the pronunciation of Hugo.
While Chris looks that up, Brian, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We did break this down a little bit while we were watching it. First, I think Pep can get picked off in individual games. While I think we would all agree that he's a masterclass over the course of the season. Two, Antonio
Conte. Can't win every game.
No, I know, but I think more credit to Antonio Conte's game plan, as Chris mentioned. I thought that was perfect. And Conte is a game time player. Like, he's the guy I'd won in a knockout competition. He dominates those. And I think he executed the game plan. Players were great. They capitalized on chances. By the end of the game, they had like basically everyone in the stands behind the ball. So
it's kind of funny you say that about the knockout thing, though. Has he won a cup? He's never won a Champions League, right?
Mostly with Italy is what I'm referring to. And also
the quarterfinals.
He's done pretty well with we went through the Italy team in 2016. That was like you and me were up next.
Okay.
But also I thought Højbjerg specifically ran his nuts off. Pardon my French. He was an absolute monster. He ran the entire game. And also Bentancur didn't seem to me as steady, but he did the job that he needed to do in the midfield. And then Harry Kane, great finisher.
Yeah, I feel like it's the only way to beat Man City, which I guess like all of these lower teams try it, sit deep, but you can kind of weather a storm where all you're dealing with is all these kind of dangerous crosses over and over and over again, because that's really all that they could create. And then Christian Romero, I thought, played really well, but he put his hand over his head and the cross went right into it, and that was the penalty late in the game.
Unfortunate.
But it feels like you can that's kind of the only way to beat them if you don't have the talent to match up with them, which 99% of teams don't.
Yeah, even Paris Saint-Germain sat deep and was hoping for the best.
Yeah,
I just wish they played.
They're like cat and mouse. That's how they play. Like on the ball, it's just constant. They work it around to the left and they see if you're going to make a defensive mistake. And then when there isn't one, then they work it back to the right. And they do the same thing. They just are constantly waiting. And then eventually they get even bored of that, I think. And then they whip in across and do it all over again.
Exactly.
And it seems like that's kind of all that, when teams really sit back like Tottenham did, you just have to wait them out, which kind of sucks, but I blame them for that.
Yeah, I guess, but also, they don't have the same flair that the old Pep Barcelona teams do. So there's not as much ingenuity or fun. They're not as fun to watch. It's sort of like a machine. And so with no Messi, it doesn't. There's just De Bruyne is the only one who does that, relatively well. But I will say that the more impressive thing to me almost is they're pressing off the ball when they don't have it. They get the ball back. They spend all their energy. Immediately they get the ball back.
Yeah, that's what it is for me. Is they don't have that cutting, those dynamic Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Henry. I mean, all these terrific players that Barcelona had, where they would kind of play the same kind of way, but instead of just waiting for a defensive mistake, they would force one, which was much cooler to watch, I thought. And they don't have those kind of players. Riyad Mahrez is, every once in a while he'll break down a lesser opponent. De Bruyne, Sterling, same kind of thing against worse teams, but against the top teams, sometimes they don't have that moment of magic. They're kind of waiting for the other team to make a mistake.
Yeah, I think there are only two teams in Europe that can somewhat match them. Somewhat is the key word here. Is Liverpool and Bayern Munich, because not because those are machine and very well oiled system and everything, yes, but because that's the point you just mentioned, because they do the counter pressing and they don't get tired after running if they don't have the ball. Well, like Paris Saint-Germain, if they don't have the ball, they especially the front three, they are very disinterested about running when they are not in possession of the ball. And that's where you pay. They make you pay for that, and you have to be consistent and not make a mistakes in 90 minutes, which is a very long time not to make any mistakes, and the lack of lucidity. So that would be those two teams, and even those two teams, like Bayern had some flaws this season, and Liverpool is finally picking up form. So yeah, no, it's great. There is a title race now. There is a title race, especially Liverpool won 6-0 against Leeds. But with those kind of things, you have to analyze also that Marcelo Bielsa, even if like he has half of his squad and the starters that are injured, he'll still play attack. And even if that costs him to lose 6-0, he'll do it because that's his principles. And when you look at the match, actually it was not as easy. They scored three goals in the last 85 minutes. It was only 3-0 until like the 82nd or something like this.
Only,
yeah. And it took them a long time. And that there were some key moments where Leeds could have opened the score. And that's also back to Man City. Against them, you have to open the score. If they open the score, the game is over. It's a little bit like in tennis when with Nadal, you have to break first and win the first game, the first set. Otherwise, it's over. It's the same thing with Manchester City. You have to open the score. Otherwise, there is no game. You're not coming back.
Yeah, and then even in this one, like, if Lloris doesn't spill that ball and there's the lack of handball on Romero, I'm not sure they would have scored at all, which is crazy considering how much of the ball that they had. And yeah, kudos to Spurs. I don't know if we want to keep talking about them, but of course they blew it and lost to like Burnley or something.
I know they've lost everything. They lost the games leading up to this game, and then they lost against Burnley.
And now Antonio Conte is like, maybe I'm not a good coach anymore. That's brutal. The Spurs has broken them right after they beat the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Less than a week.
But you know what's, well, I mean, we'll have plenty of time to talk to him, but my thoughts and prayers go out to him. He's just a competitive guy. But Chris, you did mention there was a title race, and I think actually after this weekend, is there a title race in Ligue 1 after the French team, who shall not be named, actually dropped points for the second time this season? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, okay. We're doing a transition. That's a brutal transition. Even though me, as a big fan of Ligue 1, and I try to defend the Ligue 1 as much as I can, and they are not helping me. So it's probably last season where Paris Saint-Germain didn't win the title. They probably, I don't know, had slightly a better season than what they are having right now in terms of performances, and it's a fair game, or like at least equal or worse. But it's just like scoring the right time at the last minutes, and Mbappe scoring when he needs to. He's delivering the assist and everything. And so they basically played on Saturday against Nantes, which is a place that's dear to my heart because I studied there, and I really love that city. On the west coast of France, and I went to games to Stade de la Beaujoire.
Nice.
Brian's a bourgeois.
And okay, Paris Saint-Germain lost 3-1. That's only the second loss of Paris Saint-Germain in the season. And the first loss happened at Rennes, which is in somewhat the same region of Bretagne in France. And it happened at the same timing after a Champions League game, which we know there is a decompression, and especially for Paris Saint-Germain, where like they don't really respect the Ligue 1. Even though Nantes has been a really good team, they have been a really good playing team, and they have really good players that will go to Bundesliga with Kolo Muani. Ludovic Blas also will get good offers, I think, for intermediary club in Bundesliga. And Albon Lafont that I got 10 out of 10 in the Journal L'Équipe.
Wow.
And I think only like the 12th player to get a 10 out of 10. He was unbeatable.
Messi's gotten some of those, I think.
Yeah.
You think?
He stopped. he stopped.
Not sure. Don't like the guy. Just came across it.
He stopped a penalty kick from the best penalty shooter in the world, and he made him look silly because he didn't move on his line. And that's the trick of Neymar, is that usually the goalkeeper chooses a side and he didn't move and he didn't place it very well. He was destabilized, and that's how he missed it. But the main thing is like what I heard in terms of analysis. I think I disagree a lot, disagree completely with what I heard about, like, being like, Luca Delos didn't play well. Yes, the referee was not at a good level, and that's the second time in the season the referee wasn't, like, there was like a tackle that could have on Mbappe that could have been a red card. He forgot to give a second yellow on the foul to go to the PK. And Verratti said open quote, the referee shitted on us, which is gonna have to go to get some suspension games for his quote, which apparently is translated from Italian, and apparently it's not as bad in Italian. But in French, it's really bad when you say the referee took a dump on you.
Yeah, it's
bad in English too.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I would say also, Chicago is pronounced that. So that's it is not as bad in Italian, but it's not good.
Yeah, but like, so back to the analysis, they play well. They played well. Neymar is at a good, decent level, which is his second game he's playing since he's back. Messi, I thought, is ramping up also and has been playing well, delivering. And in the middle of the park, I've seen him dribbling a little bit more, being more confident about holding the ball a little bit longer and not just giving the ball right away when he sees opponents getting close to him. Mbappe, I think, didn't play as well, but he also like suffered a big challenge from what we call in French a butcher that cut into his ankle. So I think he might have been hurt a little bit and suffered maybe not to try his luck again. But other than that, just Navas didn't have a good game. And I fear that like now it's gonna happen that no, there is no two number ones. It's Donnarumma. I mean, we all knew that from the beginning, if we're honest. We all knew it was Donnarumma, the number one, but they pretended he wasn't, just because like this guy is massive and he's also has really good ball play. He's commanding his defense and he's the future. But now, like, that's the second time in the season where he makes big mistakes. And Donnarumma, I think, has done like maybe one small mistake. So I think now that's one thing that we learned, is that Donnarumma's probably going to be number one in Champions League now. It's going to make it easier for Pochettino just to pick Donnarumma and not just to alternate each game.
I think that sometimes you just go up against the jeu à la Nantes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Thank you.
People don't know what it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just Googled that.
Very well said. I understood what you said. This is great. Le jeu à la Nantes. Coco Ciodo, Patrice Loco, and all that time, it's basically was one touch offensive. And the whole thing is like, is that they pick a coach that wasn't from, the same old pool, just like, in England, Steve Bruce, please help me. I cannot think of the two other one at the moment. That always get like to Newcastle or like now in Champions League. I think like
there's a million of them.
Yeah, none of them have ever won the Premier League.
Sam Allardyce.
Bradford. He just signed in Bradford. I forgot who signed in Bradford today. League 1, League 2 team. Like all those like English guys that get recycled for the Watford, Newcastle of the world.
Big Sam.
In France, we do that, but worse. In France, it's like Antoine Comboiré, which actually has changed and is the coach of Nantes and used to be the coach of Paris Saint-Germain and got sacked when he was halfway through the season and was at the top of the league. But then they're like, hey, Carlo Ancelotti is coming, so bye-bye. And like what we call a fireman, like Antoine Comboiré is a fireman. So you're fighting for the relegation. You get here, he teaches the team how to park the bus, and that's it. and they decided to go with someone that like had some experience in Spain and that was playing with small team in the region that had the philosophy. Oh, when someone has the philosophy, oh, that changes a lot, and they play offense, and when you play offense, you have more chances to win games. Oh, what a revolutionary, what a revolutionary philosophy! Who could have not thought that? I mean, I'm joking, but the French philosophy is Catenaccio from the 90s. Is you played, and now I think they've evolved a little bit to try to emulate a little bit like Bundesliga and try to be more like, okay. Like Christophe Galtier was like I would say the best coach in Ligue 1 right now. That's the coach of Nice. He's like first solid defense, and then you attack quickly, you break, and that's what Nantes did. That's the style of French team these days. Is like you have players that run fast and have a good strike, and in counter attack, then that's how they base their game. So I just thought, even though Paris Saint-Germain lost, it was actually one of the best games of the season to watch. I had fun watching the game, even though my team lost. I had more fun than when I see them winning 1-0 or drawing miraculously at the last minute. So it was actually fun to watch. I'm not afraid of saying that.
A moment of a lack of bias, Chris. Very nice. Colburn, if you're wondering what I said to him, I said that the Nantes style of play.
I wasn't wondering what he said to him at all.
Sorry.
Man. That's hilarious though. Brian is gonna laugh at that for the next like day or so. So that's hilarious.
That was excellent. I love that. Chris Colburn's being a dick, but that was great.
Thank you.
Oh man, that is hilarious. So let's move on, shall we, to Champions League. And why don't this is a little different from our rundown. Why don't we start with, we just talked about Mbappe and PSG behind you, Chris. Why don't we start out with the big man behind me? Chelsea winning at home against Lille. I know Chris has his opinions on Lille, which I'd love for him to share here, but Pulisic with the goal. Sick. This is Club World Cup winning player, Christian Pulisic. What a total boss. What a total G. The whole thing was sick. In fact, CBS Sports, Golasso, our guys in the post-game show, did a whole thing on his touches during the game, and he played super well, and it was equally sick for the rest of the game. I loved it. It's great. Champions League, we never had this in America, and I just want everyone to know, I don't take this for granted. I recognize how cool this is, because we never had this before, really, besides, a couple Clint Dempsey goals and a Landon Donovan 85th minute sub appearance.
Maybe Clint Dempsey Europa League goals. Yeah, no, we've definitely never had anything like this before. And he's like 23 now. Well, when he was like 17 or 18, I was like, this is the best player I've ever seen us have already. And all due respect to Landon Donovan and our boy Deuce, he's just different. He's got skill that we just have never had on the ball. I don't know if he's the best passer, but certainly his dribbling is, I think right up there with any of the, some of the best dribblers in the world of today's game. And it was on full display against Lille. They probably should have fouled him more from some of the highlights I watched. That is his kind of Achilles heel. He lets guys get a little close, a bit like Neymar.
Yeah, you hate that.
I do hate that, only because he gets hurt all the time.
Too many hits.
Yeah, he does take too many hits. But when it's working, and like Thierry Henry said in the post game on the counterattack, he gets the ball in space and he just goes forward, and he's tough to stop.
It was such an interesting point he made, that a lot of those clips were all in transition. And then Thierry's point is that he hadn't seen him create from the park the bus final third kind of thing, which I thought was an interesting point. Particularly, poignant for that game, because a lot of those clips are like that. But also, I would agree, I don't always see him in tight spaces with the defense all, fully prepared, as often make those plays. But I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a huge boss.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't a wrong criticism, but he was comparing him to Eden Hazard as if, like, I don't know, like every winger can just be as good as him. So yeah, fair enough. Maybe he'll never be as good as Eden Hazard, but everyone isn't as good as he was. So Yeah, I mean, if he could take the next step to being able to create out of nothing, he's going to be, top 5 player in the world. That's kind of what they were alluding to. Is he's not that, but he's pretty damn good. So, I don't know, Chris, what was the Ligue 1 perspective on Lille's performance?
I mean, Ligue 1 is basically on a economics system that's similar to Dortmund, but worse because they are not in Bundesliga, so they don't have the TV rights that gets to them. And like when you look at them, they had to at the winter transfer window, le mercato d'hiver. They let go Renildo, which was their best player, the left back that went to Atletico de Madrid.
He's great on my FIFA team.
It's great, yeah. He's been playing awesome in real life. They let him go because otherwise he would have gone for free. He would have left on free this summer. So they grabbed like $5 million, I believe. And he was their best player the whole season. And so you let your best player and your second best player also, Jonathan Ikone, goes to Fiorentina. And you get like I forgot, a Bosnian or Kosovar to replace him that doesn't speak French, that has like one game to get acquainted. That didn't really work. And then they tried to densify the midfield with Onana, who has been really playing well in Champions League actually, but it wasn't against an opposition of Europa League, a Champions League opponent, because yes, they play against Salzburg, Sevilla, who's actually having a somewhat title race in Spain, but like their Champions League run was awful. And Wolfsburg, even though they had John Brooks, is having an awful season and fighting for relegation. So they had like a really easy group that they topped, which is French team don't typically do. But after that, they let go their 2 best players.
And no Barak, no big boy Barak as well.
But or our boy Tim Weah.
Yeah. No. Please don't bring Tim Weah. No. Please, I can't. They didn't even let him play. You see, that's how like he's been like, and even the French commentators are worse than me. I'm being nice when I say like he's not a difference maker. Granted, the games I've watched with national team, he plays so well for the national team. And he's also Jonathan David, since 2022 hasn't scored, besides with the national team, where he's been playing well. But in France, in Ligue 1 game, he's been missing big chances that he wasn't missing before. Granted, he's not getting the same level of service that he was before. And Tim Weah, he's not like...
I'll focus on the national team. That's what that feels like.
Yeah, Kurt, don't forget, this is a pro-American players podcast over here, and unless the name is Kyle Beckerman, we're big fans. So,
all right,
or maybe Darlington Nagbe.
Hey, I just want to deliver the truth. Do not get too hyped up about like, oh yeah, we have our front 3, we have Pulisic, we just need a 9, and we have Tim Weah. If Joe Reyna is not here, we have Tim Weah. It's like, be careful because he's on a very downward trend.
Gio Reyna needs to be healthy.
Yes.
That's a problem.
19 years old and he's already picking up injuries. That's very scary to me. Granted, Conrad de la Fuente played and scored in Europa Conference League today with Marseille in Karabakh, which I didn't know where it was, in Azerbaijan.
Land of fire.
Wow, that's sweet for Marseille.
I don't care if it's sweet for Marseille, since I'm a Paris Saint-Germain fan. I just know it's sweet for the US men's national team, where Conrad de la Fuente might make it to the squad, since it's creeping up on us. Tic tac, Colburn.
Oh, and, yeah. On the way.
Our annual check-in on Colburn and his Italian pulse. Yes.
Italian players get more hurt by the day. So we'll see.
Who's on the injured list over there now? Besides Chiesa?
No, Chiesa, and then also I think Di Lorenzo's a little banged up. I think he'll be fine.
Barella didn't play against Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need him. You're gonna need him.
We're gonna need a
You're
lot
gonna
of
need him
things.
next to Verratti.
But anyway, back to Chelsea. I would have it noted that N'Golo Conte delivered the assist that slotted through Pulisic, and it was a brilliant midfield run from him. I love that guy. What another brilliant performance from him.
N'Golo Conte, para para pa. N'Golo Conte, para para pa.
There's the song.
So yes, N'Golo Conte. I didn't even want it to mention that, but basically, yeah, he had like
I don't believe you.
really good game.
Tuchel's system is super efficient at beating teams like Lille, I have to say. I mean, among other teams, but without Lukaku, which I think is worth also talking about, that Havertz scored, and in that false nine role, which also the guys at the after show talked about. Is Lukaku a good fit for this squad? I actually think they play better without him, and that's not a big take, but the Chelsea that I like the best is when they're all rotating. Jorginho, Conte, Havertz, Pulisic, all of them. You know, they're all rotating in and out. Mason Mount, and it feels like there's not one person tied to a position. They're like it's like a really good funnel that they create going forward. It's very dynamic.
Yeah, it's just like they've not been able to make it work for Lukaku. It seemed like a brilliant transfer this summer. It sounded like, you know, the only thing that was missing, even though they win the Champions League, was the number 9, because Timo Werner was not gonna work. That's the thing, like the big teams have to do. Even if you're winning, you cannot keep the same team because you need new blood. You need new players that wants to win and have add that to their title lists. And they feel like Lukaku, he wants to win in back-to-back Champions League, and this makes so much sense. He gets the service, but Reece James and Chilwell, which is probably the 2 players that he will get services from crosses, they're out. And then the other players, they're not really combining, like the Pulisic and the Mason Mount in the world when he's healthy. They're just like, okay, they do a 1-2, but then after, the outcome of that is them striking to goal and scoring, not like making them a football for Lukaku is not necessarily his strength. His strength is and he plays better with another player, and he's missing Lautaro Martinez for sure. And there is not another player. I mean, if they've kept Olivier Giroud, he could have done it. It would have been a really good pairing. Just saying.
Could have been. Yeah.
All I have to say about that, I agree, is actually I thought with Werner they played better because his connecting passing is better. And to Chris, to your point, the style thing I think is the better fit there. Lukaku does need the service, and it doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work for him there. I mean, they might change it around, but he's got to be the center of the attack, and it doesn't seem like there's a focal point in Tuchel's attack in his system.
Yeah. I cannot believe Brand has not noticed also this mispronunciation. Instead of Tuchel, it should be Tuchel.
You know what's funny you say this, Chris, is I don't understand the German CH. It's a nemesis for me. I've been begging Colbert to figure it out, but he doesn't care enough. No, it is on Wikipedia, but it's not a sound that is in English. And when sounds aren't in English, I'm dead. So.
All right, good to know.
Whenever you guys figure out how to do that CH in German, call me.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit Spanish. That's how I know it. It's like the rota is, and it's the and it's like you're almost like getting something out of your throat. So that's how you do it. Tuchel.
So would that be like my last name too?
Brian. I mean, if it's German,
it is.
So yes, that would be. I believe so. I'm not sure. I'm not Germano fan. I just know.
We'll have to review the tapes.
Because
what do you mean you're not German, Chris? I'm looking at your last name.
Yeah, no, it's not German. It's from Liechtenstein and immigrated to England, so it's English.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, look
I
at
take
it.
it back.
It's 2 words. I went and I zelled, which is a verb that's also used in French for like meaning that's mostly used for a custom officer when they decide to do their job and actually check the papers, which I know is something that's very foreign to American because actually a border officer do actually their job here and very carefully. But in Europe, since there is Schengen and there is not, so that's when they decide like, you know what, today for half an hour we're gonna control, and that's called being zealous. So I went and I was zealous. That's my last name.
Wow. Nice. I don't know anything about my last name other than German.
Should we talk about no good transition here. Should we talk about Atletico Man United? All I want to say about this game is both of these teams are the wrong form, and I thought that the scoreline was probably just. I am rooting for Atletico Madrid because I love Simeone, and I thought it would have been nice to get that home win, but alas, 1-1 draw. It was kind of a dull game overall, though.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch it, but I saw the highlights. It seems like a lot of what, in the few games I've caught Atletico this year, where they actually are not terrible going forward. It's a little bit different than their old teams, but they actually do kind of create some good chances. They probably should have scored a few goals yesterday against Man United instead of just the one that they got, which was an awesome goal from Joao Felix, as Jamie Carragher would say. But we're Felix on this podcast. But then they can't defend. The goal that they gave up was just a horrible mistake.
His first touch of the game.
Whoever the center back was diving in on that was super unnecessary. That's like an amateur FIFA move. And then surprisingly, Jan Oblak, who I've seen make 1 million of really high level saves, was kind of way out of position and let in a pretty easy goal and wasn't anywhere near saving it. So disappointing for Atletico for sure. But the way that they historically can play, they could easily go to Manchester and beat them, but it's kind of impossible to know with the way that they're playing right now. And then also impossible to know for Man United since they're pretty erratic as well. So I don't know. It's a an interesting tie between a couple famous teams, but these teams aren't contenders at all in the Champions League.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree.
So when the UEFA did the draw and they messed up, I think originally it was PSG Man United, which I was very happy about. Even though it was right at the time where Rangnick, they chose Rangnick, which I thought was a good choice. And I thought he would have had enough time to maybe turn around and maybe by now it would not be a good choice anymore. Turns out it was unable to turn it around. And yeah, exactly what you're saying. On paper, it sounds like a very premium tie. It sounds like it should be something that should be in quarter or semi-final. But it's just because it's just the branding of those teams that used to be. One is closer in time than the other one in terms of winning. As recent as last year, winning La Liga, even though the level of La Liga has gone down, way down. Kind of concurrently with Cristiano and Messi leaving, but that's a different story. Yeah, I was very happy when he was the two teams that I wanted to play against, Man United and or Atletico, which wasn't possible because they finished second, but basically it was a dream tie. And not Ajax. You'd think Ajax, which we're going to talk about afterwards, but actually that's a team Paris Saint-Germain would have struggled against because they would have thought, who's Ajax, like Anthony, okay, that's all. Sébastien Haller, I could have played for France, yeah, I don't care about him. They have a 38 years old in the keeper. They don't play Onana because he's leaving for Inter Milan. Yeah, okay, well, it's a league game, right? and they were gonna end up losing that one. So yeah, it was very poor. Pogba being subbed off at the 60th minute. Yeah, not being very happy about it, rightfully so. And right when he got subbed off, that's when the goal happened. But you know, he's not in a good team for him. The spirit of the team is not there. And also, like Bruno and Pogba, it's basically Pogba probably wants the role of Bruno, but he cannot do as well as Bruno. And he doesn't want to defend unless he's playing for the French national team. So this is a conundrum that's not going to be solved until he basically joined that man in Paris Saint-Germain next season.
He has to leave Man United. I think that much is obvious.
Well, I was going to bring it up too because Jamie brought it up, and I hate to steal all of their analysis, but I love that show. But he was really critical of Fernandez playing with Pogba. He said he's watched it for a few years, and every time it doesn't work. And it sounds like Chris, you kind of agree. Although Pogba's not really a 10 though, like Bruno is, at least
he wants
traditionally.
to
be. Does he
exactly.
kind of he wants to play a 10, but from deeper, which doesn't really.
That's possible. That's possible.
Really
Pirlo did it. And at Juve, sometimes he played a number 10, but I think it was more of for lack of better talent, or Dybala was allowing Dybala to be a little bit more like 9.5, 10, and Pogba was more like 8.5, 10, and that was working better. Where like you have here that Bruno that's more like 10, 10.5, and Pogba wants to be 8 and 10, where he should be more 8, 7. You know,
I thought he's more of a 6, honestly. I like him more for France as a 6.
I know, and that's the only time where he gets the motivation.
And also he has, and for France, importantly, he has Conte next to him, who runs his nuts off. So he covers for him.
Well, what about Fred? Fred runs really hard too.
Oh, please.
No, it's kind of funny though, because like I'm gonna make a dumb FIFA comparison, but when you play with Man United in FIFA, to like put everyone in their right positions, you have to play like the 4-3-3 attack. And I find that formation in the game and in real life is almost impossible to defend with, because you've got Fernandez is playing as the 10, and you've got to have whoever
Ronaldo doesn't press.
Ronaldo's best, but Fred and Pogba is the two. Those guys in that, when you have that triangle 3 midfield with 3 forwards in front of them, those 2 midfielders have to defend, otherwise you're dead constantly. And if Pogba's not going to come back, it just doesn't really work. So I agree with Jamie on this one. I don't think that you can play with Bruno and Pogba in the team. Although I kind of think like with Bruno in there, he's probably always, he's typically one of their better, probably their best player. But you can't really have 3 forwards with him behind it, for most games that you play in for an entire season at least. I just think it's too attacking, leaves you too vulnerable unless you've got 2 Contes that are gonna, cover up everything defensively. I think it's too hard to play like that.
They don't have the right pieces, and they don't have the right coach. But I think it's more the pieces.
I'm kind of leaning towards I usually don't like to blame the players. I think a good manager's got to figure it out, but I'm kind of leaning towards maybe it is kind of on the players now a bit.
I mean, I'm sorry, but McTominay, Fred, that's not a Champions League winning.
That's true.
It's not.
We talk about this. It's not.
You're so right, Chris. Nothing truer could be said.
And as you guys both said, when you play with Conte in the middle, you can play 2 center midfield.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can play 4-4-2, which is a very good attacking formation, but very hard to defend. With like the diamonds, and you just said it. Ronaldo, he cannot defend anymore. He cannot make those runs, and does he want to? Bruno Fernandes, he tries, but he's not a really good defender. Pogba could be a good defender if he wants, but he doesn't want to defend. And then after, you're like with Fred and McTominay, if they play together, and they're not great after holding the ball, keeping the ball, holding the ball. So it's like a disaster. And then after, I'm not even talking about like Rashford, apparently still plays under anesthesia, which in other sports is actually illegal. and considering a doping practice. And yeah, then that's what Rangnick was saying. Is like, I like Elanga, and a lot of the players, they should be inspired by him. And you'd think it would be like, oh, he's a professional, and the other one, they're not work out. No, apparently it's like, no, he's just having fun. And that's what I want from the other player. I want them to have fun, and they're not having fun right now.
I wouldn't be having fun either.
No. And by the way, last comment on this one. Speaking of which, they have to go to Manchester for the second leg. This game feels like a toss-up. This tie.
Penalty kick.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of think that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd pick one between the two. It could be either one easily. Even David De Gea said it. He's like, he got asked in the post game, hey, are you guys like favored now that you're going home? And he was like, no, it's kind of a 50-50. You're on one of those teams.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So with that, actually, let's move on to with Juventus and Villarreal. So another 1-1 draw. Same game. I would say the biggest thing here is Vlahovic continues his hot form for Juventus after coming over from Fiorentina. That guy continues to scored in the first 30 seconds. Sick.
Right.
And then in classic sort of Juventus fashion, they proceeded to give that lead away. And then they finished with a 1-1 draw. So before we talk about Weston Mckennie, any thoughts on the game overall?
I didn't see it. I just saw the defensive mistake from De Ligt on the Donny Parejo. Nice, clever run from midfield, but
I do blame
lousy defense.
I do blame Rabiot a little bit for that.
Oh,
Rabiot,
come on.
red card Rabiot.
I share
agree.
your opinion on Rabiot, but this time you should have been sent off for sure. I think the main thing is like Vlahovic. He's scoring those goals based on half chances. Like,
yes,
in terms of expected goals, this probably was like a 0.2 max. I didn't check, but that's what I would imagine, because the defender is like there.
Can't believe he scored that.
I know, and he makes them look so easy, and he's so confident, and it's a new team. He makes it sound like he's been there for 10 years.
Oh, he's an informed striker if there ever was one.
Wait, you really thought that Rabiot is at fault for the goal, for not checking?
He doesn't communicate with anyone on that.
Maybe it's the lack of communication.
So yeah. I do blame
De Ligt. Asleep on that.
I know. They're both asleep, but I think Rabiot doesn't track him or communicate at all. He's more ball watching than De Ligt.
Okay, I'll allow it. I just saw that I don't know why De Ligt was even chasing.
De Ligt was wrong. They were both wrong, but I mean, I guess I could blame them both. But the communication stinks. That it was like right down Main Street. He just makes the run, and it's like perfect. Here you go, boom.
Yeah, it was clever, but poor. Yeah, poor defense.
Yeah, I was very surprised to not see Weston Mckennie starting the game and Rabiot starting, to be honest. So I don't know if there was just a game management and time management from Massimiliano Allegri.
Well, Allegri had pre-game breakfast with Deschamps, so.
That's why then. That must be true.
Is that true?
No. No, it's not true. That's just why he started Rabiot.
And we can transition to the next topic, which basically is maybe, we'll never know, but maybe Weston start the game and then he gets subbed off by Rabiot, and unfortunately the injury doesn't happen.
This is a disastrous
Wait, so hold on.
injury.
So did Rabiot was subbed off for?
No. Sorry, Chris. Weston started that game.
He did? I didn't remember.
Okay.
My bad.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, because
he actually played super
Rabiot
well too. He played really well.
Sent off big time.
Oh, Rabiot, that should have been a fatty red.
You know who should be sent off is the VAR, dude. That guy can't ref another game. You're sitting there, you're watching TVs, and you don't go, "Hey, man, this looked kind of bad, dude." That's
no, but it's because of the rules that they have to go about. So I think they got this wrong, where it's like, to change, it has to be clear and obvious, instead of like, this is a foul, you call him. But the problem, if they just change it to like, hey, if it's a foul, you call the ref, then they're gonna call him like 5 times a game. So that's why they're like, it has to be very clear and very obvious. but that one seemed to all of us
Very clear and very obvious.
and very obvious.
That's what I mean. That guy's sitting there watching all these replays, and that wasn't very clear and very obvious to him. This is his job. Unbelievable. I think this is terrible. Shocking.
Juventus are
and Weston Mckennie wouldn't have broken
Juventus
his
is
foot
known
later,
to have the referees in their pocket and to buy them off once in a while.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I you know what? It all comes back to Rabiot. We blame him for the McKennie.
Well, for everything. France out of the Euros. Weston McKennie's broken foot. Yeah,
he's like my Fernandinho for Brazil. He's my scapegoat.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. Weston McKennie is a disaster. Brian, I know you have the.
Well, just real quickly, yeah. I mean, broken foot. He's out for 2 to 3 months, I think it was. So he's going to miss all of our super important World Cup qualifiers coming up.
All of them.
Yeah, against Mexico and someone else in Costa Rica,
Panama and Costa Rica. Not that we're counting, or that I'm counting down.
Not that we're looking ahead at all. But
not that we're panicking.
Those games just got like way scarier as a result of this. I don't know. Maybe Kellen Acosta can continue his good form for the national team, but yeah, it's bad. I mean, we could probably deal, unlike in the last cycle where we probably couldn't have lost Pulisic. He was like the only guy doing anything. We can afford to lose Pulisic now with the team that we have around him, but we can't. McKennie is kind of the guy in the middle that's so key. He's almost becoming like a Champions League quality winning midfielder. His game has really taken off, and
he played so well too in that game.
And to not great. Have him, it's a big loss. No way around it.
Yeah, Brian, don't feel sorry about saying that. I know we joked, and I joked about that, about like he's the next N'Golo Conte. Well, I'm not ready to put him on that level yet. He will need to, I was going to say prove for more than half the season, but if he's injured, that's tough to hold it against him. But like, yeah, what I've seen has been consistency, game in, game out, whether this is as a starter, whether this is as a substitute, and making an impact. You know, some players are good as starters and some players are good as substitute, and he's good as both, and he's making an impact in both. And so that shows like a top level player, as Thomas Tuchel would say, top is top. And you know, like, even though yes, Rabiot technically is not necessarily big competition, there is more than 3, and there was also like I forgot, it's not Cuadrado, I always confuse
Arthur,
Betancourt and Arthur. Betancourt had to leave because he didn't have a spot, and Betancourt, or he didn't play enough. And Weston Mckennie made his stride, and he wasn't, you know, when he went from
Allegri loves him too.
Schalke 04 to Juventus. I was like, whoa, dude, you're going to Juventus? Like, that's a big step up. You're not gonna make it, and he's making it, and he leveled up, because I remember watching them at the Gold Cup 2019, which they lost against Mexico, and honestly, like, I was like, yes, he was the best player in midfield, but it was not great. Now it's like on the sideline, in the middle, dribbling, holding the ball. He does the exact thing he needs to do, and he never loses the ball.
And headers. Yeah.
And also, I was going to say the headers, like, he's a magnet for the headers. He's jumping almost as high as Cristiano, almost.
Well, with his throw, he gets there.
And yeah, it's I think he might actually. I think he's going to end up in Premier League for sure now. But
he'd be a great fit for them too, because he runs.
He runs hard. Yeah, he really is complete. He's a complete midfielder.
Which is why this is tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tragic.
And I mean, you know, if you'd had a good coach, you'd be like, that's okay, you know, he worked like with Luca de la Torre, Kelly Acosta, which we used to make fun of, but honestly, like, he's been playing really well.
He's not bad for the national team.
Yeah, and MLS is coming back this weekend, so he's gonna be in shape right for the match.
Yeah, good, perfect
timing.
Good timing. 48 caps for Kellen Acosta.
So
he's played okay.
Feels like a lot.
Played okay in the past.
No, he has. I know we joke about Kellen Acosta because he's a MLS player, but You know, typical CONCACAF, these games are going to come down to set pieces, and he actually delivers a pretty nice ball. So we won't have Weston Mckennie to head it in, but
Jussi Zardes will be heading it in.
Maybe Walker Zimmerman will just kind of crash one in again.
I was thinking about Zimmerman, who has a bigger chance of playing, sadly, but okay.
Jussi Zardes, 68 caps that guy has. 68. I missed all of them. I know where I was.
How many goals?
I just wasn't watching friendlies and Gold Cups. Like 14, I think.
Yeah. Yikes.
Good return.
Yikes. Any other comments on this other than our unrelenting sadness?
Or you can't forget about winning in Stadio de Azteca.
Oh yeah. Well, we never really greeted that at the door.
I know it was like a 10% chance anyways, but now it's like park the bus and hope for the best, which is actually the Bearwater Bowl, so that should be fine.
Yeah. No, we won't. Maybe a point, but we have to beat Panama at home. That's it.
That's it.
Simple.
No problems.
Shouldn't really be as daunting as it sounds. Just beat Panama at home. It should be a no-brainer, but we'll see. I'll be panicking, that's for sure.
Yes, we will. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that one. Last game to discuss here, Benfica Ajax. Not a ton from me on this one.
I thought Tadic's goal. Tadic's goal was sweet.
It was an entertaining game. It was a very entertaining game, but I don't think they're contenders, as Chris, you said earlier.
I'd like to see them go through because the last few years of watching them has been pretty entertaining, but I didn't catch this one, so I can't comment about it. But a draw in Portugal is probably not a terrible result.
I mean, with the former rule of the away goals, they would have been basically Ajax is basically qualified when they start kicking off. Well, now they have to win. They still have to win, which I know you guys like.
Love it. Yeah, perfect.
Love it. But like, no, it's just like it's very surprising from a Benfica performances, which have caught their game against Porto during the holidays, and they fired Jorge Jesus, and they still delivered at home. They beat Barcelona, and that's why Barcelona is in Europa League. So
we're going to talk about them next.
Yeah. No, maybe they're not as bad as I mean. I kind of wrote Benfica off just because of how good Ajax has been. I got some stats.
How good has Ajax been, Brian?
Sick. So this year, 32 games, all comps, including the Dutch Cup, Dutch League, Champions League. They've scored 107 goals and conceded 14 in 32 games, which is awesome. But that 2-2 kind of ruined that stat for me a little bit. Sad. But no, they've been awesome. I imagine that watching them in the Eredivisie is awesome as well. They must just absolutely pound everybody. But yeah, that's my Ajax stats.
I love it. Ajax is fun to watch always, which is nice. And they play great branded football, which I also enjoy. So let's move on to the last game. I know we're generally a Champions League winning midfield here, but sometimes we're a Europa League winning midfield, and we have to talk about Napoli and Barcelona, just because it was a big game. You know, speaking of two teams that aren't quite where they normally are in the Champions League, Barcelona more than Napoli. The Italians stink. Once again, they come up as small as possible in the biggest possible stage on the club side. It's classic to me. This result to me is a classic Serie A international cup performance.
In the Diego Maradona Cup,
they could have given up 8 goals in this game. They gave up about 8 chances to Barcelona in the first 30 minutes. Like 8 golden chances too. They were all over the place. I was like, did anyone know the game was on? They came out like, I was like, is anyone playing defense?
They made Gerard Piqué look like a striker. That goal was nice. So
that was nice. But he also, you know what? But Piqué was also someone responsible for the second Napoli goal. It was a terrible pass.
Yeah, he's a fool. Yeah, I mean, Barcelona started to play a lot better. I mean, we've been talking about
They
it.
have, that's
So,
true.
I don't know. Does Napoli really need the Europa League? Yeah, it'd be nice, I guess, for them to win a trophy.
It would be nice for them to beat Barcelona at home with it all to play for, having done half of the job at the Camp Nou, and then to waltz in to the Diego Maradona and just absolutely lay a fatty
Did they
egg.
rename the stadium?
That's what I was gonna say.
Wait,
What
did
do you
they?
mean?
You just called it
I
Diego
thought they,
Maradona.
I thought they did.
Oh
We,
wow, I missed that. I thought it was
Yes,
still the San
Diego
Paulo.
Armando Maradona.
Wait, is this real?
we
Yeah.
can check the tapes. I think they
Oh,
renamed.
No. I know. I listened to the French podcast and they were saying they changed it. The guy was saying at the Stadio San Paulo something that no, actually it's Diego Armando Maradona Stadium now.
Oh wow,
Oh,
sick.
details guy, dude. What?
Wow. Oh, okay.
Well, you know
Cool.
what? It doesn't
I'm into
matter
that.
because Napoli blew it. So
Not
that's the
even
end of
talking about
the end of
Insigne?
that. Oh, I was going to bring up Insigne. He finished the penalty nicely, which was great. But that will be the last time he plays in a Napoli shirt for a club competition.
Oh, nice. Did you watch the Golasso show by chance?
No, I didn't.
Okay, they've got this new woman on. I don't know if she's Scottish or English or Northern English or whatever. She's got a really thick accent. Insigne.
Oh,
I can't handle that. I cannot handle
it's
that.
it's like Taylor Twellman.
Oh.
Insigne. I heard
No,
Insigne all Euro
wasn't it?
2020.
No, was it Twellman or was it Ian Dark?
It was both, but Twellman was the most.
Insigne. Yeah, that's horrible.
I don't know. Barcelona do look better. I would say Traore has played very well to start for them. He's been excellent in multiple games now. I still don't think they need it. Aubameyang and Traore are playing together. They look great. They might be winning Europa Leagues, but the midfield remains questionable to me.
Questionable in what sense? De Jong had a really good game. Pedri, Gavi, it's looking good, but maybe a bit too young. Is that if that's what you're hinting at?
Is that what you're trying to say, Colburn? A bit too young?
Well, well, you said it, Chris. All I'll say is that I'm not convinced by Barcelona yet. They haven't solved the fundamental problems. PK started in this game. That's the end of the story. That's it. Like they might beat Napoli, but they're in the Europa League for a reason. That's
replace PK for sure. But yeah, I think Chris is right. The up and coming talent is you wouldn't want to have those guys.
I believe Gavi came on as a sub.
He's like 17 or 18.
18 now. Yeah,
I
want them for the French national team, I'll be honest. And Corbin, I think it's dishonest of you if you wouldn't say you wouldn't want them for the upcoming ties, in March.
No, Chris, we're good. We have all of the attacking talent that we could ever need on the Italian national team.
I think it's so great to contrast. Chris, you can't wait to talk about France, and we just prod talking about Italy out of Colburn.
I'm so tense. Because I'm nervous, Chris. They're gonna lose, and I'm preparing myself. No. I'm preparing myself mentally for that.
No, we just kind of need to be on top of if Serie A is gonna decide to cancel the weekend before, so that Mancini can have the whole week. And I think you're golden if they ended up doing, and I think they will. So, and then you'll have an advantage.
They should support the national team. That's all I have to say. They should cancel the rest of the season.
Why would they not do that? They don't schedule those games until like the night before anyway. So yeah, it's canceled.
We don't need to play these.
Is France bad about that too, Chris? Where like 2 weeks before the games, like the kickoff times aren't announced yet?
So are you talking about for the World Cup or like basically?
No, for Liga. Sometimes in Serie A, we were looking at making a trip out there, and it would be like 3 weeks before the games, and you'd know who was playing on the weekend, but you didn't know if it was Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday night, Monday night. It's crazy.
Oh, a few years ago, they didn't have it together. Now they're a bit better. So now what they're doing, they make the how do you say that? The teams that plays in Champions League, they make them play in, for example, that's why Paris Saint-Germain played on a Friday before Real Madrid, which is not a good time to make to have big viewership and everything, but they make them play on Friday so that they will have 3 days instead of Saturday, where, like, for example, Man City played on Saturday, so that they have one more day of rest. But before, they didn't think about that. Paris Saint-Germain had to complain before. They think like, oh yeah, wait, if we make them play on Sunday, which is the prime time Sunday that was competing with Italy at 9 p.m. European Central Time, Continental Time, sorry. Then after, if you play on Tuesday, you have 1 day of rest, that's it. Or even on Wednesday, that's just 2 days of rest. And so they had to complain so that they recently changed 2 days ago. But yes, they announced the time like maybe like a week or two before.
Same stuff. It's like Italy.
Yeah, it doesn't compute for our
Europe
mindset.
is just insane with that. I don't understand that. You know who the good teams are. You can schedule that out months in advance.
No, because you don't know if they're gonna still be in Champions League. If they're not in Champions League, then you schedule them in Sunday.
Yeah, but that only affects like 2 teams, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I think
those two
it's
teams are
crazy.
the
Just
only
flex
one that
them.
make
That's what we do.
viewership.
We just flex it. We put them in at the time, and then we just change it.
It is all like that.
Maybe that's worse. I don't know.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
moving on.
No, I just want to say that Atalanta beat Olympiacos, so as a nice little Atalanta check-in.
Thank goodness.
3-0,
The Bergamo
thank God.
check-in.
Yeah, the Bergamo check-in, we needed that. So they won 3-0 and they're through, which is nice. So other than that, that's all I had for today's show, gentlemen. Anything else you wanted to add?
What do we got coming up? Any good matches?
Ooh, the Derby della Madonnina on next March 1st, next Tuesday, Coppa Italia semifinal. Thank you very much. That will be that's where I will be.
Chelsea Liverpool. No, that'll be fun.
There is
I'll
Arsenal
watch
something
that.
on Saturday. There is Arsenal Liverpool.
No, it can't be. That must have gotten cancelled.
I know you're right. It says it's cancelled. So there is Chelsea, you're right, Liverpool League Cup,
Sunday,
which is a competition no one cares about until the final. And if the final is
that's
big,
me.
And now we're back.
I'll watch it. Sure. Chelsea Liverpool. That's good action. We might see Pulisic score in a final. That'd be fun. I'm sure ESPN Plus is all over those rights.
Oh yeah, they're dialed in. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for another great episode together. This is the Supersub Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, subscribe, comment, all of those things. We'd love that. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the Supersub Pod. That's our show for today. Thanks, gentlemen. We'll be back next week. We got some more action. Some open wide for some soccer, as they used to say on The Simpsons. So we'll be doing the same thing next week.
Awesome.
Determine who the best team is, Portugal or Mexico.
Tune in on our TikTok channels and ciao.
Ciao.